Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Grade 11. This is a video lesson recording for Practical Research 1, and we are now in part 2 of the module 4, which is all about the theoretical framework. So last time we were talking about writing the review of related literature. So we discussed what is a review of related literature. We also discussed what is the purpose of review of related literature, as well as how are we going to write the RRL, and also we did some example of how you are going to search for relevant topics that is related to your subject matter or your research problem. So this time around we are going to talk about theoretical framework. So for this module, still the same thing, the MELC, because this is just part 2 of the module 4, but for this specific lesson, the students are expected to define what is the theoretical framework, explain the purpose of a theoretical framework, discuss guidelines on writing the theoretical framework, and write your theoretical framework. So what is a theoretical framework? A theoretical framework shapes the justification of the research problem or your objectives. It provides a legal basis for defining the parameter of your research study. The theoretical framework also is a symbolic construction which uses abstract concepts, facts, laws, and variables and their relations that explain or predict how an observed phenomena exists or operates. So, depende sa iyong subject matter, doon nakadepende ang gagamitin mong theory. It will support your entire study. So what is the purpose of the theoretical framework? The first and foremost purpose of writing the theoretical framework is for you to explain or present theories that has been used or developed by other researchers in this topic. So you are going to compile related theories to your own study from previous works or previous studies. Once you start to write your theoretical framework, you will realize that there are a lot of theories that may be related to your research topic. So, in writing the theoretical framework, you should be able to evaluate, select, and compare the most relevant theories to your topic. You should only include the topics that are relevant and the topics that actually make sense, that it supports your topic, your research problem. So there is no fixed format on how to write the theoretical framework, but there are some guidelines that we can follow. First is identify key concepts. So go back to your research problem and maybe your research questions and try to identify key concepts and terms and then define them in a very clear and specific manner so that you can use these keywords in trying to search for relevant theories or concepts. Okay? Also, afterwards, if you have the concepts now, then you search for relevant theories. So from the key concepts, you look for theories that are related to them, and you can include different theories, but then you have to explain why each concept or theory is related or helpful towards your entire research problem. Next, find theories that will help in data interpretation. This is also one of the purpose of theoretical framework. The theory that you are going to use should be able to help you in data analysis and interpretation later in your research writing process, okay? And then you may be able to critique a theory. You can contradict a certain theory, or maybe you can agree or support a certain theory, depende again sa iyong research problem. The develop a theory, this is usually for higher education. For example, nagma-master's degree or nag-doctorate, so they can actually develop a theory of their own and propose a theory that may be feasible or possible upon doing their research. But for you, since you are a senior high school student, this may not be applicable, so not yet to you. So important reminders for writing the theoretical framework. So stay within your topic and research problem. you might get overwhelmed. Kasi once na nag-start ka na nag-research, parang feeling mo everything is related. You know, like for example, if your topic is too broad, you feel like every theory that you come across are related to one another. You know? So, dahan-dahan lang, kalma-kalma. So, try to select few theories. Actually, you can choose one to two theories lang, no, na yung feeling mo talaga they are like really related to your study, and focus on those two or one theory. Okay? Avoid mentioning too many theories, yun na nga, because some may not be relevant. Okay? Mas lalo nang makalito sa'yo, makalito sa reader mo, no? So, to avoid that type of confusion, avoid mentioning too many theories. So, there's no fixed rules in writing the theoretical frameworks, as we have said earlier. And the goal, actually, is to make a clear and structured theoretical framework. As you write more research papers in the future, inshallah, the more you will learn about writing the theoretical framework, and you will be able to develop your own style of writing, and you will also be able to find that process that will help you, or that will make it easier for you to write the theoretical framework. So let's try to look into a example here. So if I have a title, this is a title, Fleeing Youths, the Impact of Marawi Conflict Among Junior High School Marawi Evacuee Students in Buhangin District, Davao City, Philippines. I wrote this proposal. Only a proposal. I was not able to conduct the study. This proposal, I wrote this on 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that was the time of Marawi siege, I think. Okay, so the main point, or the purpose of this study, is to know how the ongoing Marawi conflict affect the lives of the Marawi evacuees now residing in Davao City, especially the ones who still enrolled in junior high schools. This study would like to understand how the certain students cope with their lives and what is the impact of the Marawi conflict in their lives, leading, hopefully, to a better understanding of their situation. What triggered me to write this proposal at that time was because we have quite a few students who were evacuees from Marawi at that time. And I kind of saw a different type of, yung ibang pakikitungo sa kanila ng tao, ng mga kapwa nila estudyante, at ng tao in general, you know. There is some sort of, I don't know, sometimes they were mocked, sometimes they were made fun of, not exactly bullied, but you know, there were some jokes, no, na sinasabi sa kanila dati. And we didn't know, well, I didn't know actually kung paano sila naapektuhan nung ganun. That is why I wanted, at that moment, I wanted to know how they perceive things, how they are coping, and how does it affect them, you know? So the possible theoretical framework for that is to utilize the socialization theory. Socialization theory explains children's development as embedded in and not separate from their cultural milieu, which sets goals and values that are thus internalized by the child from a very young age. Schools as social institutions expose children to the goals and values that are desirable according to the narratives they promote. Because one of the main purpose of education, schools, institutions that give services such as education, is socialization, to promote social interaction to the kids, to the students at such a young age. Isa ito sa mga pinaka-purpose ng eskwelahan, di ba? So that is why I thought at that time that socialization theory would be able to help the entire study. So, continuation of the theoretical framework, as sociologists and psychologists explain, different individuals have a different relationship with collective identities, and communities are by no means homogeneous. This framework will help in gaining more understanding on how the Marawi evacuees, junior high school students, cope and create new relationships, move around new communities in the pursuit of living a normal life. So if you can see, the theory that was used here is only one theory, but within the review of related literature, I actually sent you the entire document of this. Just check it out on the group chat, please. So if you are going to read the entire RRL, there are a lot more theories, like 5 to 6 theories that were quoted and stated in the RRL. But this specific theory is now the focus for the theoretical framework because it is appropriate and it could help in the data analysis and interpretation at the latter part of your study. Okay, so that is an example of a theoretical framework. So if you wanted more examples of theoretical framework, one way talaga para makagets tayo or makakuha tayo ng idea about writing the theoretical framework is reading studies, no, with theoretical frameworks. Reading review of related literature, because sometimes walang specific section for theoretical framework, right? But it is embedded onto the review of related literature. So, really read, no? Kailangan talaga natin magbasa ng maraming study, ng maraming research papers, so that we can get a hang of it, no? Writing the theoretical framework, different approach, different styles, different techniques, and different themes. You can only get that if you keep on reading different research papers, okay? So we have defined what is a theoretical framework, we explained the purpose of the theoretical framework, we discussed the guidelines on writing the theoretical framework, and lastly, now you have to write your own theoretical framework. So for your assessment, again, no, I have already said this on the last video lesson, write your chapter 2, review of related literature. The deadline is on March 15, 2022. The same format, short one paper, Arial, 12 points, double space. And then, just to give you a reminder of the research format, so for chapter 1, introduction, you have the background of the study, problem statement, significance of the study, scope and delimitation of the study, and then definition of terms. And for chapter 2, last time we already talked about how to write the review of related literature or studies, and now you have to write your theoretical framework. So if you have any other questions, you can go ahead and send a message or post a message into our group chat, or you can also private message me. You can text me as well, no, kung meron kayo mga katanungan. So the main point is that you have to submit before March 15 so that you will be ready for your outline defense by the end of your summative tests, which is March 21 to 25. Okay? So thank you so much for watching the video lesson. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.